is our train. This is going to be so cool. 36 hours on the train to Seattle.
Hey guys, Jody and Kelly with Only Have One Life to Live. Hey guys, good morning. It's Jody with Only Have One Life to Live. Today we're going to do part 2 of our Amtrak Coast Starlight trip from the Los Angeles train station to Seattle train station. And we're going to do primarily the Seattle tour in this video. Part 1 has the entire trip from LA all the way up to Seattle on the train itself. And part 2 of this series is going to be our tour of Seattle. So we hope you enjoy. So as a reminder, we stayed one night in LA, and then the next morning we left the hotel and went over to the Amtrak station to hop on our train, which left at 9:51 in the morning from Los Angeles to Seattle. And this was really the optimal time to depart and direction, because you get to see so much of the coastline. Approximately 4 to 6 hours of coastline, depending on commercial traffic and other things. But there is a first class lounge, as you'll recall. So remember, if you're in first class, or if you've got a bed or a bed coach, you get to go up to the first class lounge and you get to partake of the red cap services, where they take you out to the train on golf carts and take all your luggage. So you get all the amenities of the lounge there. And off we go. As we were going to start, we took off right at 9:51. We were really surprised by the Amtrak Trails on Rails programs, which is a part of this particular train ride, which give us all of the history along the way. And the second thing was just the dining car. What a spectacular amount of food and quality of food. We were completely surprised by the quality, the flavors, and the taste of this food. It was just amazing. Some things we ordered a couple times over, but you get the full sort of 3-course meal, with an appetizer, a main course, and dessert. And of course, eventually we made it to Seattle. But you're going to see coastline, you're going to see prairies, you're going to see the Cascade Mountains, you're going to see snow, all of this in a short 36 to 38 hours along the path there. And you're going to get entertained along the way. The Trails for Rails National Park folks were on the train for about 3 to 4 hours. And just gave all sorts of history. But what some just picturesque moments in the Cascade Mountains. You guys will love part 1. So go back, like and subscribe, view part 1. That is an amazing portion of the trip. And there's just so many hallmark picture moments in that you'll want to stop the video and take some pictures yourself of the video. It's just beautiful. So we hope you enjoy this, and we hope you enjoy part 2 as we arrive in Seattle at the Seattle train station. Remember, you'll get to see all this during the October to November time frame. So be sure you look at the times. If you want to see all these 4 seasons, you need to time it right.
Guess where we're at? In line for the original Starbucks.
So we had to stop by and get our favorite Joe. And then while you're there, you've got to have some of the famous pierogies, which are just literally 2 doors down from the original Starbucks. So go in, have a good coffee, It pairs super nice with all the great pierogi flavors that you're going to get from the place just a door or two down from the original Starbucks.
No problem. Thanks for asking.
That is so cool.
Well, that dough is really pliable, isn't it? It'll really stretch it.
Yeah, as long as it's fresh. If it's not fresh and it starts to dry. Yeah, dry.
Trip to Seattle, you have to go and visit the Space Needle. Kelly and I went all the way to the top of this bad boy and spun around a few times so that you guys could see the entire picture here. We're going to put it on double fast speed so that you guys can get a view of everything. But we really had a good time at the Space Needle. A lot of great pictures. My beautiful wife. And you get to see just what a marvelous view you get to see from up here. Bird's eye view. We took several picturesque pictures here so that you guys could get to see more of us, because we know that's what you want to see. Here's a picture of Kelly and I taking a picture of each other, and getting a couple little smooches in along the way as we go. We also went to this glass museum that was right by the Space Needle, and there's just some marvelous works of art in here. So hope you guys enjoy some of those pictures as well, because it's just pretty amazing. Some of the glass work and artwork that he did in the gardens there. More views from the Space Needle looking down up under your feet. It's a see-through sort of area here where you can stand and watch the world go by beneath your feet. Here comes some of the artwork that we've seen. You can buy entrance tickets to this and the Space Needle at the Space Needle entrance. It's all outside on little kiosks. You just go up with your credit card and buy the tickets that you want. You can buy them individually or you can buy them together. The glasswork here is just amazing. In just a little bit we'll have a demonstration of how they build the glass vases and those types of things. Look at all the colors. It's an amazing color palette. I don't know how he got all that glass in there without breaking it off, because I would have definitely broken every piece of glass there. It's a good thing I'm not putting those together. What a sculpture. Look at all the blues and aquas. And here's the glass demonstration. How these guys are creating the glass and forming the shapes, heating things up and cooling them down. And you'll see here in a minute towards the end how they just sort of take this glass off at the very end. It's a pretty cool process, just building this glass. Takes a little time to do it, and you clearly have to have some skill with the glass. technique here, but these guys know how to do it. So they had a glass demonstration. It took about 35 to 40 minutes. They did it every hour. This was on a Sunday, so you'll be able to see it pretty much any day that you go out. This was from 11:15 to 12:15. I think the demo did about maybe 10 minutes in between. So it's about a 45-minute demonstration. We're nearing the end here, and you're going to see him in a minute just puts basically a drop of water right on the edge. There he goes, putting the drop of water on, and he's going to just lightly tap this thing, and it's going to just come apart. And there you go. Then he takes a little torch, and where it come apart at the end, the glass broke at the end there, where he purposefully and intentionally broke it. They smooth the glass down right there so you don't touch stuff on the bottom, and then put it in a heater, and he goes in there and rests for a while. Here's the gardens outside at this place, and all these odd colors that you see are all glass. And there's so many of them. Some of them blend in perfectly. It's hard to tell what's the garden and what's the glass. That was obvious, but some of those aren't, but many of those are glass. Many of the yellow and green ones down at the bottom are glass, not actual weeds or glass or weeds or grass. Of course, we went to Miners Landing and had to do the city wheel there. So we went up in the city wheel, and you get spectacular views at night from the city wheel. There's some of the city views, and of course the food was amazing. There's all sorts of seafood as you can imagine, and there's great Italian food as well. Kelly had some bruschetta and different things, and I had spaghetti and meatballs, probably some of the best I've ever ate. Right down at Miners Landing in that area. We had fish and chips one day, and I had cod. I'm sorry, Kelly had cod, and I had the halibut. And of course, Pike Place Market. You've got to go visit Pike Place Market. This is where Starbucks is. There's so many other places other than Starbucks to see here. Everything from how kettle corn is made, and these guys will be happy to demonstrate and show you and give you samples of all the different flavors you can have. But there's all sorts of things to see here in Pike Place Market. There are shops downstairs. There's about 5 levels to this Pike Place Market, and you can get everything from flowers to Marvel headsets and stuff like that. You can get an Iron Man head if you want one. Mask to put on. Books and costumes, the flowers, and of course you can go all the way out one side. You're about to see all the flowers here. These flowers are amazing, the bouquets they've made here. For $10 to $15 to $20, you can get some of the largest flower bouquets I think I've ever seen. Beautiful flowers. And these are already pre-made for you, literally from $10 to $25. Beautiful flowers. You couldn't get flowers every day if you could get them like that. That's not something you'll find in your local grocery store. These are just amazing flowers, bouquets. They're huge too. You can get everything from fabric to miniature dollhouse stuff, just all sorts of vendors. most of the folks here are local, other than, of course, the Starbucks. The rest of these guys are pretty local. So you're always supporting the local economies by going in and buying something local here. So be sure to do that. Support your local community anytime you go and visit. You can get the chain stuff anytime you go anywhere, but you can't get the local stuff unless you go local. More views of the skyline of Seattle at night from the Ferris wheel, or the city wheel. We decided on the second day to take a ferry ride through the locks and dams, through the various lakes that make up the Seattle sort of waterways. And we got to see plane takeoff. There are also airplane rides where you can pick up the airplanes. We tried to do that a couple of times, but they were booked literally every hour on the hour for days in advance. So if you want to do that, you better get out there quickly. Kenmore Air is the one I'd recommend. They seem to be, they didn't pay me. I didn't get to fly on their air, but on their airlines, but they seem to be the one with the most airlines and airplanes around. And we took the Argosy cruise tours to cruise through the locks and dams as we go from one side of Seattle to the other on the waterways. So a lot of fun here, going and seeing that and being a part of that. So encourage you guys to do that. There's so many houses here that are built along the waterways, but they're permitted, and there's like a 2 or 3 year waiting list to even get a home at this point on the water. And there's several different classifications of living on the water so that you can avoid taxes and those types of things, property taxes and so on. So you'll see these houses that are built on platforms and they're moored, and those you have to pay taxes on, but you don't pay real estate taxes. You only pay property taxes on the asset itself. And then of course, if you live on a boat, an actual boat that's movable and not moored at a specific spot, then you pay taxes only on the boat, and you avoid all of the property taxes you might have for the real estate, the land, and so on. We've gone through a couple of dams here, or we're about to, so you can see some of the action as we go through the waterways here and go through the actual locks and dams that make up this environment. And then we're approaching one now, as you can see, and we'll head over to this little slip on the right here that you'll see. It's a little narrow channel with concrete on both sides with a yellow tip on the end there. We're going to go to the right of that and slip right in there. This captain's super good. He's got about 6 inches total around both sides, so 3 inches on each side, to slip this 65-foot boat that's 40 foot wide into this channel here. And then we're going to go through the dam. As you can see, the water on the other side of the dam is lower, and about 10 million gallons a minute is what goes out of this dam as they pump the water down into the ocean. We're headed towards the ocean side. And so this river that is behind us now, the lock gets used in the summertime 60 to 65 times a day. And it's approximately 10 million gallons of water that gets pumped out of this dam every time they go through it. So if you can do the math, roughly 60 to 65 million gallons of water being produced by this lake and going out to sea every day, just in this one direction on this one dam, this one lock. So in just a second, you'll see the locks open up and all the water will start going down, as you can tell. And then once the equalization occurs between the two water levels, then they'll open up the locks and we'll continue the trip through the lock. took us about 10 minutes to get through this lock, maybe 15 max, I would think. But as you can see, when the locks are closed, you can walk across from one side to the other, get pictures. There were also some little animals on both sides greeting us and saying goodbye to us as we went through. And here we go. You can see the locks are opening, and out we go. And now we're headed towards the ocean, the open ocean, and you will see just some great picturesque moments here as we go through the rest of this waterway out towards the ocean and out towards where we stayed. We actually stayed on the coast or on the ocean side, and we stayed where the Beatles were at. Back in the day, you remember the Beatles had pictures of them fishing out the windows, and that's where we stayed. It's called the Edgewater Resort, or the Edgewater Hotel, and it's on Pier 62. Here we are, we're heading back in. We're going to land or dock back over by the wheel, which was around Pier 66. And we've already passed our hotel. I think, actually that's it on the left, Pier 57, I'm sorry. And we're going to go up here to Pier 66, and we're going to dock on the other side of Pier 66. Some spectacular views, the sun behind us shining on the city line. Again, we stayed at the Edgewater Hotel. It's pretty dated, but it's a good stay. I don't know that it's worth the amount of money we paid for it, but it was warm, they had good water pressure, and there's a lot of history here. So it was a very good experience to stay there. They clearly had a lot of rock and roll folks stay there in the past, so it was a good nightlife. They had a bar there that I took a moment to just sort of poke my head into, but they had a lot of memorabilia on the walls, and then Kelli and I sat up front for a little while and just sort of watched the traffic go by outside. It's a beautiful little outside area with fireplaces everywhere. We even had a fireplace in our room, and that was pretty cool. So I think this is where John Paul and Ringo stuck their head out the window and were fishing. It actually used to be a bait shop in the bottom of this hotel.
Boarding our flight back to Dallas.
We're sorry to see the trip come to an end. We've had a great time, but we got to get back to reality and do some work now to afford the next one. And just to say that we've arrived back in Dallas, and you know what? The sunsets aren't too bad here either. So we'll see you next time. Remember, we're in this together, and we only have one life to live.